So I really don't like hospitals, which could be a problem because I'm a rabbi. As a rabbi, I often have to visit congregants who are in the hospital. And when I go to visit them in the hospital, I say the prayers with them, and I talk to them, and I listen. But I know outside in the hallway, that's really where the action is, and I totally feel like I don't belong. These doctors, the nurses, they all seem to know what they're doing. And I have this feeling that if anybody ever had their life at risk, that I would actually be the last person on earth that anybody would ask. You know, I'm the kind of the rabbi that kind of gets dizzy and passes out at circumcisions, right? There's a reason why I didn't become a Moth. And when I go to a doctor for my kids or for myself, and the doctor starts talking and describing different things, and my brain just kind of shuts off, and I just kind of hear that noise that Charlie Brown's teacher used to say, like, rah-rah, rah-rah, rah-rah. But now I'm walking into Cohen's Children's Hospital, Long Island Jewish, and this is a hospital that they try to make believe is not really a hospital. There's a lot of colors, and there are stuffed animals everywhere, and murals with astronauts, and meadows, and rainbows, and happy children. But it's really a hospital, we know, and in fact, this is a hospital for sick kids. And I'm there because it's my kid, my 10-month-old son, Isaac, who's sick. When Isaac was 6 months old, he started crying a lot more. He stopped eating, he stopped developing, and we tried to figure out what was wrong with him. And when you're a dad, like as a dad, your primary role in life is to take care of your kids, take care of your family. And so when your kid is sick, it's like the most helpless feeling in the world. Like you don't know what you could possibly do. And so you take him from doctor to doctor to try to figure out what it is. And we finally find this doctor at Cohen's Children's Hospital. And the doctor tells us a whole bunch of things that I'm hearing, and blah, 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 blah. And he says something about a blockage and something about a level 5 urine reflux. I don't really understand. The one thing I do know is he says that we're going to give him a couple of surgeries, and hopefully he should be okay. So after the first surgery, they fix the blockage, and the doctor comes to us and says, you know, Isaac is still young, he still has time to recover. We're not really ready to give him that second surgery. He has a level 5 blockage thing, I don't even know. And so we're gonna wait and see. And in the meantime, all we can do is hope and pray. Hope and prayer? I know what that is, I'm a rabbi. I could do hope and prayer. I'm really good at that stuff. All I gotta do is get a whole bunch of people and do the hope and prayer thing, and I'm ready. So sure enough, a couple months later, it's Yom Kippur. And we gather everybody at the synagogue. For those of you who aren't familiar with Yom Kippur is this like 25-hour period where everybody's fasting for 25 hours, we starve them, and then they bang on their chests and chant things over and over and over again. And they remind them of all the things that they've done wrong that year, and we also talk about the fires of eternal hell. Other than that, it's really a lot of fun. So in the middle of this guilty, chest-pounding days, they also send the rabbi up to do an appeal to raise money for the synagogue. It's a great idea. You can imagine this is not my favorite thing in the world, but the president comes over to me and says, Rabbi, the synagogue needs a new roof. Make this one a good one. So I go up and I stare at the 700 starving, guilt-ridden people. And two words come to my mind. Hope and prayer. And I tell them about my little boy and how he needs surgery and that I need them to pray for him. And that since my son is turning 2 years old this year, that my family will donate $2,000 towards the synagogue fund. Well, let me tell you, we raked it in that year. It was unbelievable. People were giving thousands and thousands of dollars. They were bawling and crying. We were like, right, they're throwing money at us. The president was like, listen, I'm sorry about your kid, but this is the best thing that ever happened to us. And I'm like, you can go to hell, please, thank you. But sure enough, a couple months later, we're at the doctor again, we're at the hospital, and we take this test, this scan. And they tell us that the scan came back as a level 3. I'm like, wow, how do you like that? So then 10 months later, we go back up to Yom Kippur again. We're making the appeal to raise money from the synagogue. And I tell everybody that he had a level 5. We gave $2,000. Now it's at a level 3. And I'm ready to say, okay, we're now going to donate $3,000 because, hey, you never know. Well, we're back in a hospital. This hospital is not like the children's hospital. This is like a sterile, bland hospital. Isaac, my son, knows this as well as I do, and we're just kind of really uncomfortable and not happy to be there. And my job is to sort of distract Isaac during the test. My wife, who actually listens to doctors, and she is talking to the doctor during the test, and we're just kind of trying to listen, and I hear again, blah, 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 and then I hear the words negative, and I'm like, oh my God, it's negative! And they're like, no, you idiot, negative is good! And then I see my wife crying. And I see the doctor with his hands up. And he's shaking his head in disbelief. And then I realize that the test came back clear. And the unthinkable had happened. That my little boy, after all of this, was now the most perfect little boy ever created. So, I still hate the hospital. And I still drag my feet when I have to visit patients. But every time I need to go visit someone at congregant in the hospital, I look at my little boy. And he reminds me that when someone is sick and someone is ill, and it's inevitably going to happen, that they need doctors, and they need nurses, and they need the pharmacists, and they need the whole medical team. But they also need me, or their rabbi, or their priest, or their minister, or their imam, or somebody from the God Squad. Because we are all needed and necessary and integral parts of the road to the recovery. Thank you.